G'day Virtual Pilots, it's Requiem. In today's debrief we'll be flying a P-39 and we're going to end up in a 1 versus 2 situation, which we'll have a look at. So initially we're over enemy territory and I'm going to spot a yak up ahead of me, so I identify him as friendly and there's no need to fly any kind of intercept course on him. However, when I look back down, there's another trace of movement which turns out to be a 109. So anticipating he's going to be pulling off towards that yak, I make a move in to try and bounce him. Now I kind of expected the 109 to follow the yak in his turn, but he doesn't really seem to be doing that. So I end up in a tail chase, so I'm going to try and use my airspeed from the dive to close in range for a shot. But the 109 ends up seeing the yak and pulls away, so I'll take a quick snapshot and then break off so I don't burn off too much of my airspeed. And it's a possibility that I was getting dragged, so I had a quick check around but didn't see anyone. So you see him at the top of the screen, about to do my split S and roll in on the 109. Now if the 109 did make that turn towards the yak, I would have been able to pull lead pursuit and close in for a shot very quickly. But because the 109 is pretty fast and he continued his straight line, it's going to take me a few seconds to catch up before I can be in range for a shot. But around here, that's when the 109 sees the yak and begins braking towards him. I score a hit with my snapshot and the 109 continues in for the head-on pass with that yak. And that's about the time I'm trying to clear my 6, just in case I was getting dragged by that 109 in the fight. And what we see now is the 109 doesn't commit to the yak. Instead he continues a lazy turn. He's trying to visually acquire who it was that hit him earlier, which happened to be me, and he'll start a chase. So now I'm going to try and extend away to the east a little bit and visually acquire the 109 because I've lost sight of him a little bit here. Now we're trying to look out the back of the P-39. I have to shift my body left and right. This way I can clear my blind spot around the glass a little bit better. So now I've visually acquired that 109, I'm trying to extend away, and it ends up looking like he's going to be continuing the chase. And since I'm in a P-39 and he's in that 109, there's not much chance I'm really going to get away. Now I do have a decent amount of altitude at this point, and I could use that to try and dive away back to my own lines, but then I'll be stuck at low altitude, and if the 109 chooses to follow, then he'll eventually be able to catch up to me and take me out. So I was thinking that in this case I'm better off keeping the altitude and letting him get closer, and that way I have some altitude to use when I need to start maneuvering against him. So now the 109 is beginning a dive. Likely this is to increase his airspeed. This will allow him to close in under my blind spot and then begin his attack. So my initial plan here is going to loop back around and be ready for a head-on pass when I see a 190. So now I need to execute a guns defense against the 190. So I get my nose down and keep pulling towards him, look where he goes. There's no point trying to pull up and follow him because I'll get tagged by the 109. So I'm going to continue off to the east. This way I'll put both the 190 and the 109 in my rear hemisphere and continue back to my own lines. So here you see I'm being chased by the 109 and the 109 is getting in position to start his attack. But at least by looking back at the 109 during this, I was able to spot the 190 coming in. So he wasn't completely unobserved. And I was able to spot him fast enough about here. So I'm able to change my maneuvering relative to the 190. And execute a guns defense against him. He does hit me, but it's not a bad hit. I'm not going to continue and pull up towards him because that 109 will get me. And if I went back towards the 109, that would also allow the 190 to use his energy gained in that climb. He'll come back down and attack me again. So it's much better to just continue off to the east and put them in my rear hemisphere. So from here I'm on borrowed time because both these airplanes will catch up to me. So it's just a matter of time until I have to start fighting them 1 versus 2. So in that mindset, I'm going to have to be very aggressive and be willing to change targets as much as possible while trying to keep track of the other target when I can. So now the 109 is starting to shoot at me, so he thinks he's in range. But I'm not quite concerned about his firing just yet. What I want to try and do is lower my nose a little bit. This will in turn force him to lower his nose, and it'll increase his airspeed because I want to try and force an overshoot from the 109. So as that range starts getting closer, I'm going to start increasing my turns a little bit here. Increasing the angle off, and as he flips behind I'll go in reverse. Start pulling and almost get into a rolling scissors here, but he breaks off. So I start to follow him. But doing this, I'm a little bit slower coming over the top, and there's a 190 here of course, ready to shoot at me. It's a little bit of a maneuver to try and avoid something there. Now the 109's out in front and checking the 190's up high in the back, so I have a few seconds to figure out what to do next. So you can see they're both in trail with me. The 109's taking those shots, trying to force me to brake. This way he'll lure me in towards him and he can get a better shot. But I want him to take the shot that I want him to have and not the one he wants. So as I'm trying to get him into a flat scissors here, Let's switch it up and continue the roll. It's too tight for him to follow, so he pulls off. So this almost forces me to go into a rolling scissors to keep things neutral between us. And while this is happening, the 190 is there to take your shot. But it's only a snapshot in this case and not a tracking shot, so that's a good outcome. So as we pull out of the dive here, we see the 109 in front of us and the 190 up high and behind. So at some point one of them is going to come down. And the 190 is in the best position, so we're going to turn towards him and make it very hard for him to come down vertically and attack. He's pulled off, so now we switch to the 109 who's coming back towards us. And it looks like the 109 will come for a head on, which is a little bit of a mistake on his part, as we have the bigger cannon and one hit from it can really take him out of service. So here you see with the 190 up high, he's coming down and getting ready to attack. So as we turn towards him, this is decreasing the lateral separation between us, which means that he's going to need to come down vertically very hard in order to make that shot, and it's not worth it for him. So as he breaks off, we continue our turn and switch to the 109 now, because the 190 is not a factor, and we'll take that head-on pass. Neither of us hit each other, so it's time to find that 190 and continue the fight. Now watch the 109 as he goes in the head-on pass. We see his underside. This will tell us that after the merge he's likely beginning up in a climb. So as he goes up into that climb, we're going to try and find where that 190 is, because he's likely going to be coming down. So we're looking around trying to find the 190. In the meantime, that 109 is getting ready to come back for an attack. You see, look behind, we've got to run, load and roll, force him to overshoot. As he goes past, we start pulling up, and then we see the 190 flash by in the windscreen mirror. Now he flashes by with a lot of closure, and we see the top of him. So we know he's going to pass underneath us and likely go straight up into a climb. So we have a few seconds to do this continual pull-up maneuver with. So the 190 is blown by us. It gives us a few seconds to at least get some shots off against this 109. So we score a hit on the 109, and the 190 is going to be coming at our 6. So as he comes down, we're going to try and jink a little bit, but we're too late. He scores a hit on us, but he blows by pretty quickly. As we locate the 109, he bows out, so we must have hit him in that pass. And that leaves us 1 versus 1 now. So here we see the 109 making his way down, getting ready to attack again. We're trying to locate that 190, so he ends up scoring a couple of hits, but he has a lot of closure and blows by. It ends up overshooting us, which allows us to take a shot. The only reason we pull up for this shot is because the 190 flashed by in the windscreen. So we can take that shot, and we know we have a few seconds left. And now as we come back down, we know the 190 is coming, and we try and get evasive. As you saw, it was a little bit too slow and copped a hit. And then I think the 109 ended up being too vertical or lost control at some point as he just bailed out. And that leaves us in the 1 versus 1 situation here against a higher energy opponent. Alright, so here goes the 109 into the ground. At this point we don't really have sight of the 190 anymore. So it's important to be looking behind you, as you know that's where he's going to turn up. Which he does. So we're going to roll and do some jinking for guns defense. Force an overshoot hopefully. It's on the right side and passing out to the left. Now as he goes uphill I don't have to worry about a second 109. So that means I can follow him uphill and start shooting at him and try and threaten him a little bit. I couldn't follow him in the pure vertical, so I'm lucky that he continued the loop around. Because I don't have much airspeed, which means I can fly a smaller loop than him and continue shooting at him as he continues his loop. So I must have hit him a couple of times. At this point he elects to extend and then leave the area. And I'm not going to be able to catch him, so I'm just content to watch him go away and then I would turn back to base. So as we pick it up after the 109 crashes, see the 190 is now being a lot more aggressive. As he comes over the top getting ready to attack, that's when we're trying to locate him. As we turn and spot him, just when we initiate a little jinking guns defense maneuver, force an overshoot as he passes under the left side. And since, like I said, there's no second airplane to worry about, that allows us to pull up and actually start threatening him. He's got that higher airspeed, so his turn circle is going to be a lot wider. And we're very close to stalling at this point. You can see how small it is for us to loop around and take shots and hit him 3 times as he continues his loop. I was lucky to score those shots because it was enough to make him to reconsider and decide to leave the area. That completes today's debrief. If you enjoyed it, I hope you'd like to share it with your friends and become a subscriber. And as always, don't forget to fly safe and check your 6.